Good morning, everybody. We are at Park Inn by Radisson, and today's conversation is all about living a long life, but not just a long life, but a quality life as well, because you want to live long and you want to live well. And my first guest is Lucy Nguma, who in 2007 started the Radiant Lifestyle Center as a way to just rejuvenate and get back to her old self. But I'll let you tell us the story. First, welcome to the show, Lucy.
Thank you.
Let's start with the reason that you started Radiant Lifestyle Center. Can you tell us about that?
It began with me having been sick.
Okay.
And I had a problem that the doctors called thrombophlebitis.
Okay.
That meant that my lower extremities, my feet used to swell. For nearly 2 years, I went around seeing doctors, and ultimately I landed into a cardiologist's office because everybody could not determine what was happening to me.
Okay.
And he told me that he had seen that kind of problem with mainly school teachers.
Okay.
And bus conductors. I wasn't any of those. So he thought that it had something to do with standing for long. Okay. I had a sitting job. So he tried to do a lot of investigations, and finally he found out that it had nothing to do with my heart. And so he gave me a lot of medication, and he told me they don't know what causes that problem, and neither do they have a cure. So when I left his office, I was telling myself, they don't know what causes the problem and they don't have a cure, but I have a bag of medicine. So I told myself,
interesting,
something is not adding up.
Yeah.
So as I took the medication for a while, but my heart was grieved because I wasn't sure that is what I needed to be taking. So I bumped into a lady and I told her what I was going through, and she told me, have you tried natural remedies? I didn't care for natural remedies then.
Okay.
So she told me.
Did she share like what kind when she said natural remedies? Yes. What did she mean?
In 2007,
yeah,
there was a craze on juicing. You know, vegetable
okay.
juices, and we were going that way then. So she told me, I know somebody who does a lot of juicing, and I have seen her help people to reverse certain illnesses. So why don't you try that out?
Yeah.
So I went there,
and
this lady had a wellness clinic somewhere in the city. So I went there. I actually stayed in there for like 10 days, and I was taken through a juicing program.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, 10 days later, I was feeling so different.
How so?
So I was feeling energized. My feet were not swelling as much as they were before. Okay. And finally, when I left, I had a plan, or they wrote out for me a plan on what I was going to do. Yeah. And I did this for like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. And that plan was based off of what exactly? Is it eating or?
I went through the juicing plan for about 10 days.
Okay.
I ate nothing. Okay. Except juices, about 12 glasses of juices per day.
Yeah.
And then, so when I left, it was now a meal plan.
Okay.
This meal plan meant that I had a good breakfast. Yeah. I had a lighter lunch. Okay. And I had very little for dinner. Okay. Preferably maybe some raw vegetables or a little bit of fruit. Yeah. And believe you me, in 7 months, I took myself off medication. And because my feet, like for the 3 months before then, were not swelling at all, I was feeling completely well. And so I was at a point in my life where I wanted to change careers. Okay. And guess what I did?
You started.
I started
Radiant Lifestyle
Center. I went to study nutrition and dietetics. Yeah. And basically wellness.
Right.
And that's where I started.
Yes, and the rest is history, as they say. So I guess that for you, that was the journey of that was the start of really taking a different path when it comes to your lifestyle, because ultimately it was affecting your health.
Yes.
And I guess in the long run, even the longevity of your life. So I know that there's an interesting acronym that you use when you're looking at the different points of just living a wholesome life. Can you take us through that? Because I think that really delves into all the different aspects that ultimately helps us live well.
The acronym is New Start.
New Start.
Like a new beginning.
Yeah.
The N represents nutrition,
Yes.
and the E represents exercise,
Okay.
and the W represents water.
Okay.
The S represents sunlight.
Yeah.
The T represents temperance or moderation.
Okay.
The A represents air,
Yeah.
and the R represents rest,
Okay.
and the T is trust in divine power.
Okay.
But I normally add one more,
Okay.
which is an attitude of gratitude.
I love
end.
that.
An
I love that.
attitude of gratitude.
An attitude of gratitude.
An attitude of
Okay,
gratitude.
so let's start with nutrition. There's been a lot of studies that have said that having a more plant-based diet will help you live longer. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Do you subscribe to it? or-
Yes, I do subscribe to that, because when you look at the human physiology, you realize that your denture and many other areas, without delving into where, but beginning with the denture, you see that your denture resembles that of a herbivorous animal.
Right.
If you think about it,
Yeah.
you will see that your denture resembles that of a sheep, not of a
Lion.
lion. So
Interesting.
really, it basically means that the designer had in mind plants, not really the other type of
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
So that's where it begins.
Okay.
But even when you look at if you look further into the colon,
Yeah.
you see the size of the colon
Yeah.
of the carnivorous animals and the herbivorous animals. The herbivorous animals have a much longer colon,
Okay.
which means the food will stay much longer inside there.
Uh-huh.
And therefore, you realize if you were to eat flesh, lots of flesh,
Yeah.
so to speak, if it takes long inside your colon,
Yeah.
it means it will putrefy.
Okay.
Putrefy basically means there's going to be a lot of toxicity in the system. So that is why the plant-based food is becoming more popular
Yeah.
for those who are understanding
Right.
how the body is
Designed.
Yes. So it basically comes from there.
Okay.
And that is proven.
Yeah, and I've seen it. I've seen even videos of women who are in their 90s and they look amazing, and they attribute that to, they credit it to the fact that they have a plant-based diet. And yet the society we live in, and maybe we could touch on that a little bit now, and the kind of culture we have, it's like instant meals, instant food, fast food. It's tasty, it's greasy, it's sweet, there's sugar. How then do we avoid it when it literally is in almost everything that we pick up?
It's been a major challenge. As you said, I have been in this since 2007. I have seen people who are having a major problem, and they're asking me, so how am I going to stop eating what I have been used to eating?
Yeah.
And for me, particularly as a Christian,
Yeah.
I now realize that it begins with faith. Faith in the sense that as a Christian, the Word of God tells us that He's our Creator. And secondly, if we destroy that temple that He has given us,
Yeah.
He will destroy us, so He says. So when it begins from there, I realize that is most of the time sufficient motivation for a Christian, because you realize He says if you destroy that temple, He will destroy you.
Right.
But I have also now observed that because a lot of us have relatives and friends and many people that we know that are suffering because of lifestyle diseases, that people are beginning to become afraid. And that also is nearly sufficient motivation for people to think, oh, I don't want to go that route.
Yeah, you don't want to, yeah. And
Yes.
it's happening more and more.
It's happening
Yeah.
more and more.
Yeah.
And I see people are having also as family members and friends, people who are going vegetarian or vegan.
Yeah.
So it's kind of creeping in. and
Slowly.
Slowly.
In fact, I was reading up on this, and researchers went into this blue zone area, and blue zones are generally places where people are known to live longer, like 100 years plus. And in one of the communities, they realized that their diet consisted mostly of plant-based food, and that they had this philosophy that you should eat till you're 80% full. So don't eat till you're like, ugh, Wah, me, I can't move from here. That's not how it should be. It should be eat till you're 80% full. Okay, so let's dive into exercise.
Yes, yes.
Which is something that I know a lot of people struggle with, but it's slowly being ingrained in our culture. Can you tell us why that's important?
The reason why exercise is important is because if you don't use your muscle, it will, what we call atrophy, it will become weak. If you don't use your bones, they become weaker. If you don't use your tissue, they become much weaker. And of course, because many times or most of us are in sedentary kind of employment,
Yeah.
so you find the amount of energy or the calories, the intake is much higher than the output, so you will find a lot of obesity.
Right.
So ideally that's the reason why we exercise. And of course you get a feel better spirit when you exercise.
Right. In fact, research shows that sitting for long bouts of time put people at risk for shorter lifespans and other health risks. And a 2011 study found that each hour people spent sitting down and watching TV after the age of 25 was linked to a deduction of 22 minutes from their overall life expectancy.
That's very true. That's very true.
And yet we're sitting at work, we're sitting in front of the TV, we're sitting and holding our phones, we're sitting all the time. So it goes back to what you're saying, just like wake up. And again, you want these muscles active because we do want a quality life, right? You don't want to be 80, 90, but you're stuck to, you know, the bed or the couch or wheelchair. W, what was that again? Water. Cheers to that. Cheers, Lucy. Water. So tell us about water.
Most of us know that your brain is more than 80% water. Your body is more than 75% water. And by water, we mean clear water.
Okay.
You could also incorporate vegetable juices as water because they will be a large percentage of that will be water. But if you don't put in that water, the body will usually look for that water from any place in your body in order for the metabolic functions to take place. So it will take the water out of your hair. It will take water out of your nails. It will take the water out of any place to ensure that it is able to keep you alive.
Right.
So water is very key, and the way to know how much water you ought to take per day is to take your weight and divide that by 7. Your weight, divide that by 7.
Okay.
And what you get is the number of glasses of water you should take per day. So it is not a one-size-fits-all.
What? I've never heard that before. And I'm busy trying to quickly do the math. As you're sitting, that's interesting.
Yes, yes.
Take your weight, divide that by 7, the divine number. Interesting.
Yes.
Lovely. Okay, we've got to take a break, but when we come back, we'll finish off with START, the last acronym. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. We're at Park Inn by Radisson, and today's conversation is all about living a long life, but also living well. What does it take to be the best version of you for as long as possible? And our guest today is none other than Lucy. She founded Radiant Lifestyle Center in 2007, and before the break, she gave us an acronym that she uses to help guide her clients and just help you live the best life. We did the NEW at the beginning, which is nutrition, exercise and water. Now we go into the last part, which is START, sunshine.
Sunshine.
I've got sunshine. Okay, or something.
In my
so
life.
yeah. So tell me about sunshine.
Sunshine. I believe that all of us who went to primary school, we learned that the sunshine provides vitamin D.
Yes.
So you will find that most people who work in buildings, they will have a challenge with vitamin D. And I think this is something we have to make an effort to do our show out here rather than in there,
right,
where there is sunshine, because the sun, when it directly touches your skin, it will also convert cholesterol into vitamin D. So it's as simple as that. The sun helps the skin to glow. The sunshine will kill lots of bacteria and germs in the body, in your clothes and in your carpets and in your everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's basically allow the sun into your house, allow the sunshine on your skin.
Right.
And when we say sunshine, we are saying that as much as possible when you expose yourself in the sunshine, let it touch your skin, not through your clothes, so that you can get the vitamin D and so that it can destroy the many germs that we come across.
Right.
Yes.
And I think it's interesting to note that more and more we're raising our children indoors, right? In front of the TV, they've got a video game, they've got a phone, and they're not out as much as they used to be. I think also safety is a big part and a big concern for many parents.
Space.
And space, because there's more apartments, there's not as much compound as I guess we had before. But it's not an excuse. You still have to find moments to walk, to be outside.
Yes, we have to be aware and therefore find every opportunity.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
I feel like I should add sunscreen there too. We met with a dermatologist, a skin specialist the other day, and he was like, sunscreen is the #1 thing that people often complain that they wish they knew about earlier.
Yes,
So even as
yes.
you go out, just a little sun protection.
Let me add also that the sunshine we are talking about here is not the 1 o'clock sunshine. It's the sun between about 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock.
Okay.
And from about 4:30 to 5:30 there, that will not cause disease.
The damage. In fact, he did say that there's a window, I think it was like between 10 and 3 or something like that. That's usually the most lethal. Like, beware.
Yes,
Don't just
beware.
really stand and come out burnt. So T is the next letter there.
T is temperance.
Temperance.
Temperance means moderation, meaning that whatever we are talking about, even if we're talking about sunshine, even if we're talking about nutrition, you have to be moderate with all these things. If something is not good, beware of it and try and avoid it. And if something is good for you, use it in moderation. Any excesses will also now become a challenge. No excesses.
Okay. And it will become a challenge. Why? Because it might lead to some kind of addiction or in what?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. If you take lots of food, of
Yeah.
course, you will be overweight.
Okay.
If you take lots of water, what would happen is your kidneys will release the water too fast, so it will come out also with lots of the minerals out of the body. If you over-exercise, people have died because of over-exercising. So whatever you do, learn to do it in moderation.
Right, and then of course the opposite is like if you drink too much, if you work too much, if you start to lose the elements of life that are really the most enjoyable. Moderation.
Moderation.
That's a problem that this culture has because we're all about the excess. Really need to stand out, you really need to go hard. You need to buy everything and be the best. Interesting. But I like that concept. So, okay, so temperance or moderation. A is the next one.
It's air.
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 Okay, I'm curious to know about that.
Air is fresh air.
Okay.
I've been to many homes and you find they have big windows, but they don't open them. And that means they don't have fresh air. Have you ever sat in a room where there is congestion and you find that it's stuffy and you begin to feel sleepy? Many of us live in homes that are like that. So we're basically saying, open your windows every morning. Even when you go to sleep, if it is safe enough, keep a window open so that you can have the negatively charged ions coming through and helping your body to have more oxygen so that you can be able to feel better and so that you can be able to fight illnesses, because they say that oxygen and disease don't live very comfortably in the same cell. So it's all about oxygen.
Wow, it's so simple.
It's very
yet
simple.
so profound and helpful. Okay, so R is the next
R
one.
is for rest.
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 Okay.
I wish we could rest enough. But as you said, we are in this race. And most people will not realize that we were created so that there is a time to rest and there is a time to work. The number of hours that an adult ought to rest are actually between 8 and 9 hours.
At night, you mean?
At night.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
At night.
Okay.
Because when you sleep with the lights on,
Yeah.
you don't have as much rest as you would if the lights were off.
Right.
And that is why it is best always to sleep before 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
because the way the body has been created, the hours that you sleep before midnight are more restful than the hours that you sleep after midnight.
What?
The hours that you sleep before midnight
Right.
will be more restful than the hours you sleep after midnight.
Interesting.
So it is best always to realize that for you to be able to do your 9 hours of sleep or 9 hours of rest, you need to sleep way before midnight, and that means you can wake up very early.
Interesting. But what about people who are the reverse, that they naturally? So first of all, I'm a big believer of that. You can't getting me to stay up past midnight is it's a rumor.
Yes.
But what about people who are the opposite, who they'd rather sleep in, but at night they're busy burning the midnight oil. They're the best, most productive versions of themselves. So how does that work then?
Those are learned habits.
Okay.
And nature is fixed. When we say that if you sleep before midnight, you would be better off than after midnight, that has to do with the circadian rhythm, which we maybe all know about, where your body will take a natural rest for 4 hours, and then somehow the body will stir up and then take another rest for another 4 hours. You can't be able to achieve that if you're going to sleep after midnight, because you will sleep in. But again, now the lights will be on. Natural lighting will have come in, and the hormones that the body will be producing are not conducive to sleep. So it's really a pattern that is fixed.
Interesting.
These others.
But can you manipulate that somehow? I'm just wondering, for people who maybe have to work, late hours for one reason or the other. What if you had the, light blinders or things like that? If you tried to really make the room dark, there's no noise, your phone isn't there.
That's okay.
So it really would then cause. It would mean that you need to sort of manipulate the space so that it feels like it's dark.
Yes.
Okay.
I
But
agree
the
with you.
idea is 8 hours.
8 hours.
Of sleep.
8 hours of sleep, and even better 9 hours.
Even better 9. So
better 9
rest, my friends, ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen, you deserve that
Yes.
8 hours sleep. But again, going back to like our culture, we sort of get trained into thinking that if you're not only sleeping for 3-4 hours, you just give up that dream, because people are up and they're working. You start to feel the pressure I need to do it and I need to be up and I.
What science has found out is, like we said before, any hour before midnight is equivalent to 2 hours after midnight. So it means that if you were to sleep at 9 o'clock, by the time it is midnight, you've actually slept 6 hours. So for you to do 8 hours, it means you will sleep up to 1 o'clock. And that means you can wake up and do whatever is necessary for you to do. And you will be more rested than the person who did it the other way around.
I see.
So that is the trick.
Interesting. Okay. So
Early to bed?
Yeah. Early to rise.
Early to rise.
Yeah. The last one is T.
T.
Yeah. What does that stand for?
T
again?
stands for trust in divine power.
Okay.
Science has found out scientifically that those people who believe in a power beyond themselves, they will perform better than those who don't, even in terms of recovery. Because the moment a person believes, then the kind of hormones that the body will produce are conducive for healing. They are conducive for a better demeanor. They are conducive for more energy. As simple as that.
And
Now I'm speaking from a scientific point of view.
Scientific, okay.
But also, faith can move lots of mountains.
Yeah.
So when you have a belief in God, you will be you will live much longer
Yeah.
than somebody who is basically just struggling.
Right. And I agree with that too, that, you know, whatever that is for you, right, for you watching, but there needs to be something greater than, right?
Yes.
Something greater than you.
Yes.
And I think it ultimately helps give you a sense of purpose. There's something that you're living for. And it's interesting. So
let's do that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
An
Let's talk about
attitude
that.
of gratitude basically means you can look at a glass half full or half empty.
Right.
It's a choice, really.
Yeah.
You can determine how you want to look at life.
Yeah.
And if you choose to see the glass half full always, then you will come out more healthy. You will definitely live longer.
Absolutely.
You will have more friends.
Yeah.
You will be better off.
Yeah, and I think that's, you've touched on something which is like the
Yes.
socializing
Yes.
bit, and I
Yes.
think that
Yes.
even helps you
Yes.
live longer and have a
Yes.
richer, fuller life.
Exactly.
And there's something that I read maybe 10 years ago now that stuck with me, and that is in line with the attitude of gratitude, that life isn't happening to you, it's responding to you.
Exactly.
So if you're just always like, what's the point? Like, why even bother go to work? I'm like, these kids are always just going to mess up anyway. That's what's going to happen. You're bringing that energy back into your space.
Exactly.
So I 100% agree with you there. An attitude of gratitude, and that's, you don't have to pay for that, you know. It's just mindset.
True.
Right. So tell us, like, have there been any like testimonials that you'd like to share from the people who've come into your
Yes,
program?
yes.
Yeah.
Well, what I find most rejuvenating for me is seeing people who have applied those very simple, basic principles of health, and they tell me, you know, I used to feel like this, I used to have this, and now it's all different. I feel energetic, I feel happy. Have been able to get over certain challenges that I had in my life just because I applied those simple basic rules of healthy living. And you know, they are not expensive.
Yeah.
Food, you choose what you want
Right.
to eat, and you're going to pay for it whether it is good or bad.
Yeah.
Air, free.
Yeah.
Trust is free.
Yeah.
Sunshine is free.
Yeah.
They are ideally free.
Right.
So what motivates me mostly is when I see people telling me that I have overcome this and that challenge,
Yeah.
and it wasn't expensive.
Oh, look at that. Look, it wasn't expensive.
Yeah.
And what you get in return is
Yes.
health
Yes.
and a
Yes.
good life.
And longevity.
And longevity, exactly, which is what we're talking about today.
Yes, yes.
So the center is on Ngong Road, right?
We are on Kilimani Road.
Oh, Kilimani Road.
Kilimani Road, nearest to Menelik Road.
Okay.
And we are open.
Okay.
Yes,
Open.
yes.
Open. If you want to have like a shift in your life, I
Yes.
highly suggest checking out
Yes.
her center, which she started over 10 years ago,
Yes,
running strong.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Lucy.
Thank you.
Thank you. This has been
you.
so enlightening for me, and I think for many others watching too.
Yes.
New start, and then the bonus, attitude of gratitude.
True.
Lovely. We've got to take a break. We'll be right back with a little bit of dancing, because also long life is about having fun and moving a little. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. I'm looking a little different because I'm about to move and dance. Oh, okay. Of course you're going to drop it low and like kill it. So my guest here is none other than Joanne Ball-Burgess. She is a dancer, a yoga instructor, a mom of 3, a lover of life and art too. And I mean, you can tell she's obviously a lot of fun. And before we dive into like the dance part, because that's why you're here today, to like show us how like moving a little bit just is good for the soul.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and helps you live long. Why don't we dive into your story?
Sure.
Because you've like lived in, I don't know how many countries now? 3, 4?
I've lived, at least 3 or 4 different countries. Yeah.
And traveling because of dance as well. So can you tell me about when did your passion for dance first start?
As a kid, I was very shy.
Yeah.
Like shy to the point of tears of doing anything in public. And no one believes me when I say that now. And when I was I always liked dance, but was too shy to ever do it in public. So I was dancing by myself.
Yeah.
And then by the time I became 13, it was when I started to venture out into getting dance training, West
Okay.
African styles, contemporary, a little bit of ballet, but not really my first love.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. And then in college now it became more of, you know, traveling, performing, dancing with companies and that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's clear, I mean, because we were talking before the camera started rolling, and it's clear that you're passionate as well about like wellness and health, and you were telling me that
Yes.
you're vegetarian.
Yes.
And that you danced through your pregnancy,
All three.
all three, and like look at her, and she continued. So why was that important for you to just keep being active?
I felt like it was important to deal with the stereotype that pregnancy is not a sickness. As
Yeah.
long as there's nothing sensitive going on,
Yeah.
our bodies know what to do with pregnancy. And if a woman is healthy, we can continue doing whatever we were doing before.
Yeah.
And I, of course, being pregnant, I felt like a goddess. I was this big, I eat everything,
Yeah.
and I felt great. And so handstands, headstands, dancing, twerking, doing
Handstands.
yes,
When you were
baby,
pregnant?
yes, baby freezes, all of it, and people were scared, and that was also a hilarious thing to me because the shock factor. And at the same time, you know, I knew that I was healthy, my babies were healthy, and then of course after giving birth, it's easier to get back to your
Yeah.
normal weight and your shape if you've been moving
Yeah.
the whole time.
That's
so
true.
yeah.
That's true. Okay, so now I guess let's get into dance. Again, the reason I thought this was important that we do is because, well, dancing means that often you're around other people as you're doing. Socializing is good for the soul, for the spirit. You get to move, which is important as well if you want a long but quality life.
Absolutely.
So we're going to start with salsa.
Yes.
Because it's a dance that I would really like to learn, and for me, even what I want is to be like thrown around.
Oh wow, you want the whole shebang.
Yeah, I want to like go down. So I want to like be up here.
Show salsa. Here we go.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so why don't you? Yeah.
We're gonna be doing some salsa.
Yes.
Just, you know, feel free. Let your waist go, let your arms go, and then we're gonna step out to the right. So we're gonna step, step, and let your arms just be free. Yeah, and lean
Hey.
into it. Lean, lean, and you can even look. So we're just variation,
Okay.
having some variation here, and just moving. So we're gonna take it another step.
Okay.
We're gonna open. Open. So you got it. Open. Keep the neck up and nice and long. Open. 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 You got it. One more time.
Oh.
Open. 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 Breathe the arms out. Then let's go back to the beginning and step. Mambo. Mambo. Hey. Hey.
Come on.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah. Yeah. And then let's take
Yeah.
it to the front and to the back.
Okay.
Front, step, back. You got this. Front, step, back. Front, step, back, step. Front, step. You got it.
Thank you.
Just bring it around, just
Okay.
feeling good. You know, we're moving, taking it into our own flow.
Okay. Back again.
Bring your hands out.
Oh, you're like doing some like hip hop moves.
Yeah, a little bit, Step, 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 step. Now this time when we open, let's cross it back. So cross, cross, yeah, make it bigger. Cross, 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 and to the front. Front, step, back, front, step. Hey, I think she's a pro. I think she's been practicing.
I think you're a good instructor. Okay.
And then just bring your arms up. Just walk, look up, and then bring your hands down. Dip down just a little bit because it's sexy. Bring your arms up. And one more time. And then bring your hands down, nice and sexy.
This is a real workout. That little
And then
squat.
you're there.
Oh, done. Done. And pose. And pose. So can you tell me a little bit about your life as a dancer in Kenya? Because you moved to Kenya 8 years
Yes.
ago, right?
That's right, that's right.
Yeah. So what's that been like?
Oh, my goodness. I could really write a book about Kenya and
Yeah.
dance. I mean, from being contracted to judge dance for 4 years and becoming the face of all of what dance is, being known as that mean dance judge, which has been kind of fun. I can be a little, I can be a bit mean. Right. To having a beautiful dance instructor who was thrown in jail for various reasons. We won't get into that. I can go into detail. But yes, oh my goodness. To meeting different types of people who come in and out of Kenya, who are known all over the world, who want to be here to check the dance scene, which is really amazing. To meeting up with street dancers and trying out b-boy for myself to see how it feels on my body.
What?
I am not a b-girl as such. I'm more dance hall, hip hop, contemporary. But as much as I was judging a lot of b-boy, I said, I need to know how that feels on my body. So always being willing to learn and not to get stuck. Sometimes us as dancers, we can be really in our own worlds, in our own spaces, and it's like, if you're doing salsa, I don't want to learn it because I'm over here and I only do dance hall. So learning to collaborate with others and growing the dance industry together is kind of a part of the journey right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Bermuda, right? So can you tell me a little bit about your childhood and what kind of lifestyle you had versus now? I don't know if you started out vegetarian, but versus now, where you are in your life, with, as a mom. Can you tell me if there's any differences, what you've learned about like life and good lifestyle? Yeah,
so as a kid in Bermuda, I mean, we're sub-Caribbean, so of course we eat meat, of course we have chicken, we're black. Okay, stereotype, but yes, you see? So we grew up eating meat and that sort of thing. Of course, vegetables were there, but they were kind of the side thing, and the meat was the main thing, and there was the rice, peas and rice, curry, chicken, plantains. We love all of that stuff. Cassava, we eat cassava. And then my journey has always been, trying to get healthier and healthier. And I realized at a certain point that gluten wasn't good for me. I actually have a small allergy, so I became gluten-free. And then slowly, I realized that the more I engaged with live food, plants, vegetables, juicing, fruits, I just felt more alive. And most of the dancers I dance with, actually all of them are at least 15 years younger than me.
Wow.
So some of them are 20 years younger than me. And the energy difference is, there's no difference. Right. And that's because of what I eat. And so when people are like, oh, well, are you sure you're getting enough protein? I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. So I don't force my kids to be vegetarian like me. They can eat whatever they like. I don't believe in forcing kids into a specific way. I feel like we'll have our own journey. But I feel like the more I engage with what's alive, I feel more alive. And that's what I encourage all of us to do, basically.
Right. And that's been working for you. You were even talking about juicing, right?
Yes,
that you started juicing, which is something we were discussing earlier on the show that that transformed Lucy's life, who was the previous guest. And she was talking about now, Joanne was telling me that she did a juice cleanse. Yes. And there's something in nutrition, there's something in what you put in that completely affects and determines how you'll be and how your body will react, everything. I mean, I was doing a juice cleanse for 8 days, and you'd think I'd be tired, and I had more energy. And I didn't notice any difference, but people were saying, okay, what are you doing? Like your skin and this and that. So it really makes a difference for us as humans, as women, as anybody, really. Right, I hear you. So I think we've got one more dance session.
Si el ritmo te lleva a mover la cabeza, ya empezamos como es. Mi música no discrimina a nadie, así que vamos a robar. Con lo mío todos se mueven, la fiesta la llevo en mis genes. Yo soy la reina de los nenes, mi gente no se detiene ya.
You do what you're doing, I'll do what I do. Okay, I'm with you here. I know what the TV policy is, so I will keep it very PG.
Very PG. Now I'm going to leave her dancing and instructing us for the next minute or so. Take it away.
Báilame como si fuera la última vez y enséñame ese pasito que no sé, un besito bien suavecito, bebé. Taqui taqui, taqui taqui rumba. High music, high flows. Báilame como si fuera la última vez y enséñame ese pasito que no sé, un besito bien suavecito, bebé. Taqui taqui. como si fuera la última vez. Y enséñame ese pasito que no sé, un besito bien suavecito, bebé. Taqui, 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 rumba.
Woo! Did you enjoy that like I did? You are a dancer and a half. And now look, we gonna have to say goodbye as we pop, lock, and drop it. Thank you for watching, and thank you to Parkin by Radisson for allowing us to like dance on your terrace. Bye, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Bye. I'm gonna do.